So we have Eunice Asantewaa Hansen-Sackey. She's a master's student in development management at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Hi, Eunice, and welcome to today's session.
Hi,
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm very ready for this session.
Can you give us a brief introduction of yourself? Anything you'd like us to know, your journey so far to school, how everything has been? Just let us know.
Okay, thank you. So you've already mentioned my name. You can call me Asantewaa. I'm a Ghanaian. I am starting at the London School of Economics and Political Science this academic year. I am a journalist and a public relations officer by training. I've worked in the communication and development space for about 10 years now. And my last job was with Ashesi University under the Ghana Climate Innovation Center. I am excited about the new journey. My scholarship journey has not been easy. I have been applying for scholarships on and off for about 10 years, and I have been actively applying for the last 4 years. So sometimes it's not straightforward, but if you persevere, you will definitely succeed. And I'm very happy to share this opportunity with you, and also to encourage you that you don't have to give up because it's possible.
Yes, I can relate to that because I applied for scholarships for 3 years straight. So actively applying, actually.
Yeah.
I always say if you've never, could you please mute yourselves? Kindly mute yourselves, please. So as I was saying, I always say if you've never received like those love letters, which are the rejections, and then actually had a big teardrop roll from your eye, then you haven't experienced the scholarship journey. Usually, it's very easy when people say, oh, I got the scholarship. You actually don't know the story behind it.
That's true.
A long journey, usually a long journey.
True.
So for everyone on the call, a lot of people's journeys aren't that easy. So if you're finding it difficult, before we even start the session, I'd like to tell you not to give up, because it's usually a very winded road. And when you get to the end, it's actually all worth the struggles that you went through. Eunice, you can verify that it's worth it.
My sister, the joy is sweet.
Okay, let's just dive into today's session. So Eunice has a presentation for us, and she's going to go through it. So that will take about 20 minutes. And afterwards, we're going to have a live review of essays. So I hope the people who submitted their essays are here on the call, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You don't get this. So we're going to do the live reviews, and then we're going to have a question and answer session. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box, and we will attend to them when we get to the question and answer session. So Eunice, over to you.
So as part of your essay, when you break your goals or your plan into 3, it's easy for you to say, so for instance, in your short term, immediately I return from my studies, I plan to do this and this and this. So maybe between your return and the next 2 years, this is what you plan to do. And then in your medium term, that's say from 3, usually people do it from 2 to 5 years or 3 to 5 years. And then the long term is usually even 10 years and beyond. So probably 3 to 7 years can be your medium term. And then beyond 10 years or 7 to 10 years can be your long-term goal. But you need to show that immediately you return home, there's something you want to start doing about the plan for which you requested the scholarship for. And when you write it like this, it helps you to segment your plan so that you're not lumping everything together. So let me give you an example. Maybe you're into the health space. Maybe you're a pharmacist or you're a doctor, and you are dealing with maternal mortality. So your overall goal is probably to reduce maternal mortality in your healthcare center by 20% or by 30%. So in your short-term goal, you have to state, so immediately I return, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe there's a system, a data entry system I want to introduce so that I can track the progress of pregnant women in a more, I can monitor it in a more specific way. There's something that you have to do immediately. Although we know that your goals can be far off into the future, you have to be as specific as possible. And that leads to the SMART goals. So each of these plans must be smart. It must be specific. It must be measurable. So it's not enough to just say, oh, I want to start my own consulting, or maybe I want to start my own hospital. Maybe that's your long-term goal. I want to start my own OBGYN consultancy. It's not enough to say that. So I want to do this by this time to achieve this desired goal. So your goal must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be achievable, it must be realistic, and it must be time bound. So don't just write it like that, like a dream. You have to put time to it, and you have to make sure that your short-term goal is really something that you can achieve in 2 years. So say if it's a database, you're going to probably, maybe you need a foolscap notebook and a pen, and then you need an intern probably to sit down and then record the specific kind of data for you that you can do within your return in 2 years. And then maybe you want to move on to a system, like an app that maybe the pregnant women can use themselves to monitor their progress. That's you may not be able to do immediately. So that can be your medium-term goal. And then probably your long-term goal is to get it onto your country's healthcare system so that maybe the Ministry of Health can adopt this database. So that is something you would do within 10 years. So your goal has to be very specific. Don't be vague about it. Maybe you work in health, or maybe you're even in the law space, or you're an SME, or maybe you work with the youth. Don't just offer your solution vaguely. What about the youth do you want to change? What about agriculture do you want to change? The sectors are big, but you have to be as specific as possible. So that's what makes your goal achievable and also realistic. And one quick tip that I wrote down there is that make sure that your goals align with what the UK align with what Chevening represents, and also what the UK is doing in your country. And when in later slides, I will show you where you can find these things. But you also know that Chevening is interested in emerging leaders, in future leaders who are causing change in their environment. So honestly, they're not expecting you to have achieved all of these things. They want you to show the evidence that you do have these plans for your country and you are working on them. And when they give you the scholarship, you are going to acquire the new knowledge that you so desperately need to make these plans a reality. So you have to convince them that these plans are worth investing in. Next slide, please. Aisha. Thank you. So now about the goals that we mentioned. There's something we say about local activities for global impact, or thinking locally. So your plans must have local solutions, but must fit into a national plan, a continental plan, and a global plan. So for instance, one of the easiest ways you can do this now is maybe with your country's policy. So your goals must be impactful, not just locally. So assuming you work in the agriculture space and you're trying to reduce post-harvest losses, for instance, and you're working with farmers to achieve this, one easy way to exhibit the relevance of this goal that you have is to fit it into your nation's food and agriculture policy. So you say that this goal aligns with your country's agri policy to reduce post-harvest losses. You can fit it into the continental plan. What does the AU say? AU has an Agenda 2063 document, and one of the goals is about reducing hunger and poverty, just like the SDGs. There's zero hunger, there's health, there's saving the planet, decent work and economic growth. I think that's goal 8. There's equal opportunities. So when you look at the SDGs alone, 17 of those goals, you will definitely find a goal that aligns with what you want to do. And one of the easy ways to exhibit the relevance of your goals is to go to the SDGs, go to the AU's Agenda 2063, go to your country's national policies, and then also go to the UK government's page. They have a dev tracker. I'll put it in the comment section. They have a system called dev tracker. It will give you the opportunity to see the exact thing that the UK government is doing in your own country. And then you can relate it to your goal. So I'll look for it and then I'll put it in the chat. But that's one way that you can identify what the UK is doing and then say that my work also aligns with what the UK is doing. In Ghana, for instance, they have a Leave No One Behind agenda where they attend to, they have a focus for women and children to make sure that they have access to education. So if you work in education, girl child education, that's an easy way that you can approach it, because the UK is also interested in allies. They want to make sure that when they educate you, you're going to help to push the agenda that they have for your country. So all the better if your goal aligns with what they are doing. So I just put them in the chat. So that I'll come to the first one, but the second one is the dev tracker. So you can go there, input your country, and you see exactly what the UK is doing in your country, the projects that they are running. You can even be so specific to say in your plan that you will help them to achieve so and so plan in this district. If you work in that district, you can be very specific to say that you've seen that the UK is working in this district of your country or this region or this province, and you are going to support them to achieve that goal that they have. Yes, so that's what I said. Another place that you can find what the FCDO and the UK are doing is on social media. They post a lot about new grants that they've made available, new projects that they are doing. In the news, you will see what the UK is doing. So follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then just track what they are doing. Because if they are going to support you, then you should also be interested in what they are doing so that you can help them to achieve the plans that they have in your country when you return. Okay, please go to the next slide. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Eunice, my laptop is being slow. Looks like the technology is on our side today.
Okay, don't worry. Let me,
Okay.
I'll
Is
just.
that the next slide? Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
So sorry
Yes.
about the lag.
Don't worry. So another thing that you have to do in your plan. So don't forget, the main quest of this career plan is to group it into 3 parts. I'm just doing a quick recap so that everything I'm saying is in context. So you have your short-term goal, your medium-term, and then your long-term. Each of these 3 must be SMART goals. So for your short-term goal, it must be specific, it must be measurable, it must be achievable, it must be realistic, it must be time-bound. And in these specifics, you feed in what the UK is doing in your country, you feed in local, national, continental and global policies that make your goals relevant. Another thing that you have to feed in is the new knowledge that you're going to gain from your UK degree and how you're going to apply it to this goal that you want to achieve. So let me go back to the maternal mortality example. So maybe your long-term goal is to reduce maternal mortality in your country by 20% through a database that you're going to introduce to monitor the different trimesters of pregnant women. So you can say that based on the new knowledge you're going to learn, maybe you're going to learn about data analytics in your UK course. You're going to use that data to identify the trends that probably make pregnant women prone to maternal mortality or complications. So this is one way that you can
Hi, Eunice.
Oh, sorry, I was muted the whole time. Don't worry. Okay, so I was saying that just as you're feeding in the relevance of what you're doing in relation to, say, the SDG goals, you also have to feed in the importance of the new knowledge you're going to attain from your UK study into achieving the goal, so that you're not just wishfully thinking, you know exactly what your course is going to teach you, and you know how you're going to apply the knowledge. And apart from your course, you can also talk about the networking, the networks that you're going to build. Maybe there's a professor in your UK school who even already developed, say, an app that you're interested in. So why go through the stress of creating one when you can speak to him and replicate what he has done and relate it to your environment? So you can say that with this course, you're going to be able to meet this professor or this group of people who have done this thing that you want to do. And the proximity is going to allow you to probably volunteer with them so that you can acquire that knowledge. So make references to specific things that you need from this master's degree and this Chevening scholarship. Don't forget, Chevening is built on 4 main pillars: leadership, networking, your study in the UK, and then the career plan. So the career plan being your ultimate pitch deck, you have to feed in all of these other important pillars and say that without Chevening, you cannot achieve this. Because mind you, you can attend a UK university without Chevening, but then Chevening is going to give you that network that you probably will not get if you went on your own, because Chevening has over 50,000 alumni all over the world that have rich experience, and Chevening wants you to leverage that network. So you need to remind them that this is why. Maybe you have money and you can apply and you can make it on your own, but Chevening will give you that rich network that you will not get if you had gone on your own. And you also need to, with every sentence that you write, you need to remind them about themselves, the great things that you also saw in Chevening that enticed you to apply, so that you also become an addition to that great network that they have. And in the end, I said that add anything which would be difficult for you to achieve without this scholarship. So the FCD, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, the UK Government Development Office, if they have some very interesting projects that you yourself are interested in, sell yourself and let them know that these are the expertise that you also have that you're going to put into that project to make it successful. And that is how you stand out, rather than just writing a general, oh, in the next 5 years, I want to build a hospital and I want to do this. Everybody can write that, but you have to be specific about what about this scholarship is going to make you achieve this goal more realistically. So next slide, please. I have 5 minutes.
Well, I'll
Okay.
give you an extra 5 minutes because.
Oh, thanks. I think I'm actually almost done. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So this, I have the link to this in the chat as well. So this is advice from the 2021-2022 reading committee. So every year, when okay, so let me break this down. After you submit your application, Chevening sets up a reading committee in the UK, and they go through all the applications. In 2021-2022, they received about 60,000 applications, and they go through all of them and they pick about 1,000, no, I think about 2,500 to 3,000, I'm not sure, but yet about that number. But I know it's definitely less than 5,000 out of that 60,000, and they call them for an interview. So at the end of that review process, they come up with the documents that they put on the website. So I've put the link to the very last one on the website, and they let you know what the strongest applications had and what the weakest applications had. Honestly, Chevening wants you to pass. Like, they want you to give them a good essay. So you have to go to that document. I put it in the link. Go through it, see what the strongest applicants did, see what the weakest applicants did for all the 4 essays. But for the career plan, it says that the strongest responses tended to be based on an outline of specific concrete goals, which usually therefore seemed more convincing and achievable. Whilst we cannot provide feedback for individuals, there's plenty of application advice on our website, and they are right. When you go to the website, there are blogs about former and current scholars who are telling you what to do, what not to do when you're writing your application. So go to chevening.org. You can search for whatever you're looking for on how to write your essay, and they will be glad to help you. There are reading committee reports from previous years as well. But everything that you need to write a compelling application is on the website. So please spend time on that website. Next slide, please. Yes, so I'm actually done. So I'm actually done. So I actually wanted us to spend more time. I have about 4 live essays that I want us to spend more time reviewing, so that this is not just theory. At least you can see real essays, and then we're going to review them together. And then you will see what the outcome of a good essay looks like. And then you can also see your essays as well.
Could you please mute Joseph? Okay. Hi, Eunice. Before we go into the live essay reviews, could you just give us a brief and concise summary of everything you've said so far?
Oh,
I think some people joined late, so just a little summary of everything.
Okay, sure. So thank you to all those who just joined. This is the session to discuss the career plan essay. So there are 4 main essays that you have to write as part of your Chevening scholarship application. The leadership essay, the networking essay, the study in the UK essay, and the career plan essay. So today we're discussing the career plan essay. And I said this is basically your pitch deck. So, you know, we have elevator pitches where you have about 1, 2, 3 minutes to sell yourself. This time you're selling your career goals and why Chevening should invest in this career goal, and why it is important for you to receive the scholarship so that you can achieve those goals. And best practice has it that it is good to split these goals into 3: your short-term goals, your medium-term goals, and your long-term goals. So short-term is between your return from the UK to about 2 years, and then your medium-term goals is probably 2 to 5 years, and then your long-term goals beyond 5 years to 10 years. And when you do this, it helps you to also be smart with your goals. So you're specific, your goals are specific, they are measurable, they are achievable, they are realistic, and they are time bound. And they are not just vague expressions. It's also great to relate these goals to global projects like the SDG goals, like the Agenda 2063 of the African Union, if you're based in Africa. So look for your region's policy documents and fit these goals into them. Also look for what the British government and the foreign Commonwealth.
There has been one question which Prosper addressed, asking if you can mention if you already have 1 master's, and Prosper addressed that yes, you can. It does not affect your chances of getting Chevening. The whole idea is to be able to prove that you are worthy of Chevening because you are not the only one applying. Always keep that in mind. When you're applying for opportunities, there are probably millions of people all over the world who are applying for that same opportunity you are applying for. So why you? Why should Chevening give you their money and take you to give you that opportunity? So Peter is also a Chevening, I don't know how to call the people on the Chevening scholarship, but Peter is, a Chevening.
A Chevener.
Chevener. Peter, please unmute yourself and send in your contribution.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Yeah. Loud and clear.
Yeah, good evening. Eunice, that was a very nice presentation. You touched on almost everything. We are very proud of you. Yeah. I just want to add some 2 things to what Eunice has presented so far. So she mentioned about being specific on everything that you want to write, whether it's on the short term, medium term, or long term. And then when you are opening your essay, the writing, the first 2 or 3 sentences, be very specific and state maybe, oh, you will return. And when you return with the new skills in this and this area, because you know the skills that you are going to acquire and then come back. So the skills that you will acquire, you should mention them. And when you bring them back, you will utilize maybe platforms. If you are within the district level, mention that district. You utilize maybe platforms like review meetings. So mention the meetings that you think you use those, you utilize those meetings to be able to share the skills with your colleagues within the district. I'm talking because I am at the district level before I was awarded the Chevening scholarship. Okay, so be very specific. Don't go about beating around the bush, just talking about things that are not very relevant. Go straight to the point. And if Prosper added something to what Eunice said, like about you starting with something you are already doing, whether it's volunteering or whatever. It is a system, okay, we are trying to improve the whole system. But if you have volunteered or you have acted in a position before, please do start with that position. Let's say if you have acted as a district director before, and then maybe you are a middle manager within the health system. I'm talking because I'm from the health side. So if you have acted like a district director before, you can start with that, because if you have given an example in the leadership essay, when you were acting as a district director, this is what you did. And then in the career plan, you are trying to tell them that when you come back within your short term, you will work hard maybe, or you work towards achieving maybe, or trying to become a district director of health services. If you put that, they know that you've acted on that position before. So it will be very easy for you to get that position. So if you put that and you are able to bring out whatever you will do there, the skills you use, and then the whatever you will do to work towards achieving your goal, I think it will be very perfect. I have reviewed some people's essays, and I've realized that some people, they just start with a short-term goal, and they say they want to work maybe with WHO. It's good to think of working with international organizations, but if you start that way, maybe the links are not there. Even networking, you didn't demonstrate anything that shows that you have links with WHO, and you start that way, it will not be very, very realistic in a way. So they should just take note of that. And then some too, they say when they go and come back, they will go back for PhD, further studies, and then come back and then lecture. It's good to think of going forward to study, but ideally, Chevening is not interested in you after the masters, not imparting and going back to acquire some other skills again. You should have worked for some time. I don't think they will bundle you and ask you to just stay there. After 2 years, you can go back for the PhD. But if you put it in your goals that when you come back with a master's degree, you think of going back to maybe do a PhD, it will be a turn-off. So they should also take note of that. And then the last thing is, some people might be writing, they want to like, maybe their goal, they want to address something, but that goal, they are trying to look at what the UK is doing within Ghana, and they are not getting specific examples to link to what actually they want to keep when they come back. What I would advise is that if you look at what the UK is doing in Ghana, and you realize that what they are doing is not directly related to what you want to, the gap you want to close, please try and look at what they are doing closely and critically. You might realize that there are certain things they are doing that when you try to build some bridges, you will be able to close the gap that you want. When you come back, you should be able to close. So for example, for my side, I wanted to reduce neonatal and maternal deaths. In the health sector, they are doing a lot in that area. But I realized that to make my story very interesting, there is something that we have maternal mental health. it is a very gray area. Most people are not even aware of it. So, and the UK too, they are interested in mental health. So why don't I hammer on that and try to say, maybe when I come back, in addition to all what I'll be doing to curb the neonatal and maternal deaths, I will make sure that maternal mental health is something that will improve. And in that way, it will also impact on the maternal and the neonatal mortalities. It will reduce them. So just try and then build the bridges. And I believe it will be well with all of us. So that's what I just want to add. Thank you very much. And thank you, Eunice, for the presentation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Peter. That was a very, very, very insightful contribution. So please, everything Peter said, do take notes. Albert, I'll get back to you. We are behind schedule, so I'm just going to go straight into the questions, and then I'll come back to you, Albert. So the first question here is from, pardon me if I don't mention your name correctly, it's from Zohar Kaka. And he says, do you think before writing an essay, we should get the data, analytics, and information regarding the industry or topic we are attempting the essay for? I think Eunice tackled this, so I'm just going to go briefly over it and then we move to the next question. So yes, it's good for you to know those for your own information. So you're writing from a point of good information, right? But you're not required to include that in your essay because you only have limited words and it's probably end up taking all your word limits if you're going to give us statistics. The research you're supposed to be doing here to be able to include in your essay is the work that UK is doing in your country, and then just how your own plan fits into the long-term plan of Chevening and then the long-term plan of UK. You need that information to add up to your essays. So Eunice, I hope I answered that well.
Yes, you did. You did.
The next question. So I'm not a Chevener, by the way, so I'm just giving more generic answers. The next question says, is there a PhD opportunity for Chevening?
No, there isn't.
Okay, so Chevening is only for masters?
For masters, yes.
Will the video be shared on Facebook? Yes, it will. It will be uploaded. Now, one other question from Infinix Hot something says, please, I have checked the project UK has in my country here, but it's all about security in the northern parts of the country, Nigeria. But the projects I intend to work on is in agriculture. How can I link this to UK projects? If anybody would like to take that.
So it's interesting that the person is saying this because food security is a major issue in Africa. So like Peter was saying, you can build any bridge you want if you look closely. Security in itself encompasses a lot of things, and food security is a major aspect. So if your agriculture project is talking about providing food, reducing post-harvest losses, empowering farmers with farming inputs, the more of all of these we have, the more food we'll have. And when there's instability in any place, food insecurity happens, and that also brings food security. So you can easily build that bridge and say, go to your work, and then I just give you a hot spot, food insecurity, and I'm sure you can build on that. Okay. So just go back to it and you'll be able to build a bridge.
Right. So the next question is, how do I make my essay stand out? Since I just finished my bachelor degree this year and yet to do my service, especially the work experience aspect. I think, Peter, would you want Prosper? I'm so sorry. Prosper, would you like to take this, please? He wants to know how to make his essay stand out.
That's it, yes. So Eunice, once again, thank you for the presentation. That was a very outstanding one. And we are very proud of you. As Peter said, let me just restrict that. Yeah, so I know people who just finished school and yet they've been awarded a scholarship. As much as possible, Chevening is looking for someone who has at least 2 years working experience. And how the 2 years working experience is measured also includes volunteerism. So there were people who, even when they were in school, they were leading as student leaders. And right from level 200, they've been leading and they've made tremendous impacts. Also, while they were in school, they were still volunteering with organizations. So all these are the experiences that Chevening is actually looking out for. Chevening's role, or what Chevening looks out for, is both in volunteerism and also permanent or paid jobs. So there are people that they've not even had any paid jobs before, and yet they've won the scholarship because they have been volunteering with organizations. As Peter mentioned, it is important that at every point in time, you consider not just maybe the work, the experience you have, but working with other people. For instance, I have an organization called the Institute of Mentorship and Leadership Training. And this was founded when I was in level 200 back in Lagos. Now, this organization has been mentoring people, young people, training them in the area of entrepreneurship, leadership, and other areas. So in my essay, I stated that this organization has made an impact by actually directly impacting about 200 people. And I mentioned examples. I mentioned that some of these people are now nurses, some are journalists, some are social workers in my essay. So something of that sort, even though it's not a pay role and it is a volunteer role, Chevening looks out for that because what Chevening is primarily concerned about is impacts. It's not about the amount of money you earn. It's not about whatever network, as in, let me say, the bigger, it's not about how big the organization is or popular the organization. It's about the impact. That was how come that Eunice stated that do not go and say that I'll come back and work with, let's say, Voradet. Chevening doesn't know what Voradet is. It is your role to define what it does and the impact that you've been able to make by working there. And once you do this, it's not about the post-educational experience, but also volunteering and also offering services and making overall impact. So once you do this, I think that you should be able to, get the scholarship as expected. There was also one question.
Oh, sorry.
Hello.
First,
okay. Yes, there was what someone asked. Please, is it possible to get the scholarship with second class lower? Yes, I want to answer that. Yes, it's possible because I know people who are second class lower and yet they've gotten the scholarship. It is more about the impact than the academics. And also, when Chevening gives you the opportunity to come for your interview, such questions may come up, as in how come that maybe you didn't perform well during your undergraduate education. That to give you the opportunity to say, maybe there are people that when they went.
Hi, can anyone hear Prosper? I seem to have lost him.
But I did not last. When I was in Lagos, I used to tell my colleagues that there was no way I was going to get first class. And if I should get first class, then the university needs to be questioned. Because I was virtually not in class. I was literally not in class. There were times I traveled outside the country for 1 month. As a NUC's president, you were all over the place. You are here, you are there. So you don't even have time to be in classroom. So as much as I learned so much from the world, I knew that academically I wasn't going to get first class. But if I were to sit in class, maybe that was something I could have contended for. So what I use is that at the end of the day, I've been able to make use of the time that I could have used to get first class by volunteering. So I was making impact out there. And I can say that being a Chevener today actually depended more on the impact I've made in the lives of other people through the interviews, through the volunteerism and other things that I have done, than rather the issue of maybe working permanently, the issue of first class or academic performance. No. Thank you.
Okay. So let me chip in very briefly about the second class lower. So I remember I attended a webinar like this before, and it was hosted by an officer from the Chevening officer of that country, and she said that basically once you are able to secure an unconditional offer in a UK university, you are good to go. So even if you have an HND and you're able to secure an unconditional offer, please apply. Don't think about it so much about second class, lower, first class. I know a lot of people are worried about that, but like Prosper said, the impact you have achieved or you have gotten is what Chevening is looking at. Once you're able to secure an unconditional offer to a UK university, you should be able to get it if you get a scholarship, because these are two separate applications. The Chevening scholarship is independent of your university application. And also about the volunteering. And a lot of us like to think of it as very big things that we've achieved. But sometimes it's just about even what you do at your church. Maybe you're helping. Today, I followed my family to go to a community where we're helping old people to acquire digital skills. They were learning how to use LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, Zoom. That's impact, because there's a whole generation that we're leaving behind who don't know much about technology, and the world is becoming tech savvy, and we're trying to let them catch up to it. That is an impactful thing. So don't think about it as a very big thing that you've saved the world or you've saved all the fishes in the sea, so you have to write about it. No, even if you are teaching Sunday school in your church, if you are doing mentorship classes at church or at the mosque or in the Buddhist monastery, that is impact, because you're changing somebody's life. So it's not all these grand things that you are assuming. Just think about impact to one person, and that should be fine.
Okay, thank you very much, Prosper, and thank you, Asantewaa. So that goes to say, if you're still a student who's maybe in your final year, it's not too late. Just start to do extracurricular activities. It could be the little things like Eunice said. It doesn't matter how little, so long as it's something that's done for somebody else, that's like impacts them in a way. There's a way you can frame it to serve as volunteerism. If you hear there's communal labor, you can go, it's always a small thing. Just do extracurricular activities. For some people, it's even sports. So it's always just do something beyond just your books, because outside school, it's a real world you are going to face, and you need to be making impact there. So please try to start as early as possible, because what you do for other people will end up benefiting yourself. There's one final question here that says, I learned Peter made mention that one shouldn't mention if he or she plans to proceed in studying for a PhD after the MSc or whatsoever that is, after the scholarship has been awarded. Why is it not advisable to include it in the future plan? I believe CPD is more relevant to professionals like myself, and I believe it should be included in future plans. So before I let Prosper answer this, I think he mentioned that do not say that you want to go back immediately for PhD. I think it's okay to mention that you have plans for further studies if you want to go into academia or if you want to go into research, but to mention that you are immediately going to do a U-turn and go back to the UK sounds like you are running away from your home country. To me, that's what it sounds like. But Prosper, please, if you have anything to add to the answer.
Yeah, so truth is that I've known people who actually wrote in their essays that they would like to do PhD as part of their, immediately they are done. And as Peter said, even is not interested in your further educational plan, even is interested in your impact. Look, everything about Chevening is about impact. The aim of Chevening at the moment is all about the SDGs. And the SDGs are actually about impact. So Chevening is looking at how you are able to come back and then make that impact in changing your community, in transforming your community. And we all know that PhD takes time. So if at the end of the day, you are given the opportunity to study for 1 year, you come back and the next thing is that, or you have plans, so you want to go back to do PhD. Well, it may be important in your career advancement or in your field at the moment. But tell me, if Chevening is about impact, or let me say, since Chevening is about impact, and you will be awarded the scholarship based on the impact that you have made, the impact you are making, and those that you plan to make in future. Will you be telling me that without the PhD, you can't make further impact? If you couldn't make further impact, then I want you to know that this is not your scholarship.
Okay. Prosper, can I ask a question?
So if you say that to you, PhD is very important. To Chevening, it is not very important because they know that people can make impact with that PhD. Look, we all have plans that we will do PhD. I have plans. Eunice has plans. We all have. Anyone who is achieving, all of us this year, anyone you've spoken to will tell you that I have plans to do PhD. But it is not relevant in the scheme of affairs. At the moment, it's not. So just leave that out, write your essay, and let us know what you do in your short term, in your medium term, and your long term. And you'll be given the scholarship once you are cut for it. It's not so difficult. So this is not a time to argue over, I want to do this, I want to do that. If that is the case, they'll say, okay, go get your money and do your PhD. Thank you.
All right, Prosper, I have like a personal question. Again, relating to the PhD. So what would you think about someone stating their short-term goal, and then when they get to the medium-term goal, they state what they want to achieve as medium-term goals, whilst mentioning the PhD as a pathway to achieving that final impact they want to achieve by the end of that short-term goal? What do you think about such a situation? So the PhD is just a pathway to achieving that goal that they are talking about, that impact they are talking about. Is Prosper still online? Otherwise, Eunice,
yes, hello, I am here. Hello,
okay.
I am here.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I lost you briefly. Or should I say I lost myself briefly? So please just re-echo that for me.
Yeah, that's okay. So I was asking that if somebody goes ahead to write their short-term plan, as you've spoken about, and then in their medium term, they have like a career goal that they want to achieve, but then they mention PhD as a pathway to getting to that career goal. So it's like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to achieve that. I'm going to do a PhD to get there. So like at the medium term or at the long term, just as a pathway to get into that career goal. What do you think about that as well as Anisi?
Okay, so I think that as a human resource professional, I will.
Did we lose Prosper again, or is it just from my end?
Prosper.
Sorry, am I back?
Yes, you are.
I don't know why my network was messing up. Sorry. So I approach it from two angles, from my profession and also from Chevening's angle. First of all, I can say that there is literally no job that people cannot do in the world with master's education. There is always a level of job that you can do. Similarly, there is literally no job that people cannot do with an undergraduate degree. If you understand this, you know, for instance, if even let's say that you are working at the hospital, unless you're a medical doctor, then you will say that I need to make sure that I do and have my doctoral degree in that field to be able to attend to patients at a certain level. So when I say that there is no job that people can't do with undergraduate degree or master's, I'm saying that at every level, there's an impact that people can make. And look, Chevening is fully aware of this. You know, when you are, those who read the essays, as Eunice mentioned, are professionals, lecturers, who have been in various industries for a long time. When I was going for my interview, those who constituted my panel were professionals. So for instance, there was someone who is a human resource professional who was part of the panel. And the person asked me directly a question relating to my field. Now, when it comes to Chevening, Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry, I'm going to have to play the devil's advocate here. We're far behind time, so if you can kindly wrap us up in 2 minutes. I'm really sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No, that's very fine. Thank you. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that you have your plans that you want to do your PhD. That is okay. That is fine. But how are you able to make impacts now without that PhD? If you're able to make impact now without that PhD, Chevening want to give you a helping hand so that you can acquire a higher skill, a higher influence, and acquire a network that will help you expand what you are doing now at the moment.
Right.
It's not about expanding your further education after your MSc or your master's. So just make sure that at the end of the day, you fall in line and go accordingly. And I think that in the past, let me state this, in the past, Chevening didn't mind those who wanted to do PhD after their courses. But it became a tradition whereby they realized that a lot of the people, once they are done, Chevening gave them the opportunity, and because of the opportunity, they're able to get other scholarships. Jump, and they said, oh, even though you said I should come to my home country and work for at least 2 years before going back to the UK, I have an opportunity of PhD. So let me do it. And it's becoming too many excuses. So there's a need to call that is scared. So now you may write that in your essay, but maybe you may not be called for an interview.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Can I just add something? This Peter.
Peter, I'm coming in. I just want to close this up quickly. So I posted in the comment section the comments from the reading committee, and it states there very clearly. The applicants who didn't make it, they wrote that they wanted to do a PhD. Honestly, for me, I think it should simplify your life. If the reading committee says that the applicants who didn't make it wrote PhD, you can hold that thought for now. Just don't put it there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
And what I just wanted to add is the objective. Every scholarship always have an objective. And if you look at the Chevening objective, it is a foreign policy tool. Just to, the British government is doing some things in every country, but they just want some young professionals to help them enhance what they are doing within the various countries. Right. So that is just what they are doing. So basically, they want to give you skills, come back, impact. So it is not like when you come back and impact, you can't go and do your PhD. That's why they're saying after 2 years, you can go. Okay, thank you. Right.
So thank you very much. There are just a few questions here. I'm just going to quickly brush through them. What is your advice for someone from a business background diverting into cybersecurity, and does it have any effects on the scholarship application? Again, everything we've said here, everything Eunice has said, Prosper has said, Peter has said, is that you need to prove the impact you are making, prove yourself worthy of the scholarship. So if you're diverting from one background to the other, make sure you have enough experience in that background you are diverting to, and just be able to prove the impact you are making in that new field.
And then says, let me just add that you can address this in your study in the UK. When you're talking about your courses, tell them why you want to switch to this new course. So it's okay if your leadership and your networking is in what you're currently doing, but when you get to the study in the UK, show the evidence that this is why I know many people who have switched and they got the scholarship. So just show them the evidence of why. What need do you have? What solution is there that you need to do this course, and you should be fine.
Okay. I see a question here that says, I would like to know how much you charge to review essays.
I don't charge anything.
We're not running a business,
yes.
So we don't charge anything to review. If you need someone to review your essays, always try to reach out to the alumni of the scholarship you are applying for. Try to reach out to their young graduates. If there is time, you would find people to review your essays. Then it says, Chevening is interested in bringing you back to your home country. Is there a way to extend your visa? I'm sorry, that is not a topic we are addressing today. Really sorry, I can't answer that question. We can't answer that. And then So if you have any further questions, please do forward them to our social media handles. We will send you the answers, and we have more sessions coming up. So on the 24th of September 2022, which is next week, we have a session on the leadership and influence essay by Prosper. So Prosper has contributed in this session. He's a Chevener. We know he's good. Please be here for next week's session. On the 1st of October 2022, we have Why Study in the UK. So this is literally a Chevening talk, which is targeting all the essays you are going to be writing. So you have Why Study in the UK by Dr. Nathaniel Issel on the 1st of October, and you have your networking essay on the 8th of October 2022 with Joel Sam. So please bear in mind, whatever tips you are learning here are applicable to all other scholarship essays that you will be writing, because your essays are storytelling, they need to make sense, you need to prove yourself worthy of the scholarship you are applying for. So these are skills, that's your essay writing skills that are transferable to every other scholarship that you will be applying for. Thank you very much for joining this session. Thank you, Eunice, for your awesome presentation. Thank you, Prosper. Thank you, Peter, for your contributions. Thank you, dear young graduate. Thank you, Lois. I see you in the background. This was a great session. I learned something new. I'm not a Chevener, but who knows? I have answers to help anybody else who would be interested in applying for Chevening scholarship. Thank you all very much. This video will be uploaded onto our Facebook page. And bye for now. Have a pleasant evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Bye.